Hi, welcome. It's Christy Evers, and I'm so glad you can join me today. We're going to celebrate Christmas Vanderbilt style. I'm taking you on a full tour of Biltmore Estate's Christmas decorations, along with some unique facts about the house and some of its rooms. Come on inside with me. There's no video allowed inside, so I'll have to move to pictures from this point. When you go to Biltmore in person, I highly recommend getting the audio tour or a private guide. This house is so full of rich history, it's great to have that extra information. But for today, I'll try to do my best to give you some juicy facts in this video tour. For starters, Biltmore has secret doors scattered throughout the property. It's fun to see if you can spot them. Christmas has always been special to Biltmore Estates right from the beginning, because Christmas Eve is when George Vanderbilt opened the doors to family and guests 125 years ago. The tree in the Banquet Hall is always the largest inside the estate at a whopping 35 feet tall. It takes 50 staff members just to carry it in. Next on the stop is this beautifully decorated main dining room, which also has a secret door. Can you spot it? There it is! Upon exiting the main dining room, you enter the Salon, which is my personal favorite color combination of Christmas decor. The music room has an exciting history. During World War II, famous works of art were brought to Biltmore Estates and hidden in the unfinished music room for protection against possible attacks. Next, the tour takes us out to the Terrace, where you can get a bird's eye view of the land that George Vanderbilt fell in love with and caused him to choose this spot in North Carolina for his home. Not bad, huh? Can't say I blame him. You can also get a closer look at some of the gargoyles and grotesques that protect the estate from harm and welcome you with their cheery little faces. Moving on from the Terrace, we're brought to a book lover's dream, the library. And it's not just for looks. This is George Vanderbilt's personal collection. And this boy was a reader. Since he was the age of 12, George Vanderbilt recorded the names of every book he read, and that continued into his adult life. In 1899 alone, he read 51 books, 31 of those which were novels. That's over 4 books in a month. How's that for a New Year's resolution? Anyone up for that? This particular library contains over 10,000 volumes in 8 different languages. A third of the collections are antiques, the oldest dating back to 1561. Our boy George here had some serious book love going on. Please step to the left and we'll check out the tapestry room. The focal point in this room is, well, you guessed it, tapestries. But don't forget to look up so you don't miss the beautifully detailed ceiling. The 3 tapestries featured in this room are part of a larger collection called The Triumph of the 7 Virtues. Multiple tapestries were created, but few survived. Remaining examples of these tapestries are housed across the world in places like the Cluny Museum in Paris, the Walker Art Gallery in Liverpool, England, and the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco. Biltmore's collection includes the Triumph of Prudence, the Triumph of Faith, and the Triumph of Charity. All right, we've come full circle with the downstairs tour. We're back at the main entrance, and it's time to move up to the 2nd floor. And with this elaborate staircase, what a grand move it is. Next to the staircase, you'll see the original elevator with the original functioning parts from 125 years ago. Not everybody can use it though. It's mostly used for those who need assistance. The most unique features of the second floor living hall are the paintings. One would expect a family painting, which there is, but there's also a painting of Frederick Law Olmsted, the designer of their landscape gardens surrounding Biltmore. FYI, he's the same guy who designed Central Park in New York City, too. They also painted Biltmore's architect, Richard Morris Hunt. Not every architect and garden designer gains such a prominent place in their clients' lives. Apparently, George Vanderbilt was beyond pleased with their work and their friendship. Let's keep moving on. Let's go check out George Vanderbilt's personal bedroom. So how does a rich dude sleep in the secluded mountains of Asheville, North Carolina? He sleeps well. He sleeps very, very well. The oak sitting room was the living space that was located directly in between George Vanderbilt's bedroom and his wife's bedroom. Let's go check out Edith Vanderbilt's room. I have to admit, the more I learn about Edith Vanderbilt, the more respect and awe I have for this woman. While she lived in the lap of luxury at Biltmore, that wasn't always the case. She and her 4 siblings were orphaned at a young age and sent to live with her grandparents. Although she had a loving home and a good education, she was orphaned yet a second time. Young and alone, she moved to Paris, where the cost of living for women was less expensive. 4 years later, Edith met George Vanderbilt and was married after a relatively short engagement. Edith was known for her kindness and generosity and her down-to-earth nature. She personally made sure to visit and brought provisions for the estate workers when they were sick, and she made sure to give all the workers' children gifts at Christmas. She even kept a detailed list of what she gave each year to make sure that everyone had something new and that she wouldn't miss anyone. That completes our tour of the second floor. Let's move up to the third. The third floor was where the majority of guest rooms were located, so naturally, the third floor living hall was where the guests would congregate and enjoy each other's company. The third floor gives you an amazing view of the grand staircase, too. The rest of the third floor tour takes you past guest bedrooms, through some dark and mysterious hallways that have names on the doors that you can't enter, which is torture for curious folks like me, by the way. And you make your way onto more beautiful and prominent bedrooms. Well, not bedrooms, they're suites. And this is the room where Edith Vanderbilt gave birth to their only daughter, Cornelia, and also the room where Cornelia gave birth to her 2 sons, George and William. You remember when I said not everybody could use the elevator? Well, I was in luck the day that I was there, because when I was on the 3rd floor, another woman was offered an elevator ride because she was having difficulties with the stairs. And they offered me a ride too, and how could I refuse? So I did, and I gotta say, this elevator was absolutely gorgeous. Its working parts are still from 125 years ago, and I have to admit, it was one of the smoothest elevator rides that I've ever had. This is a view looking up the elevator shaft. And the rest of the tour continues as we make our way down to the basement. And what basement adventure is complete without an empty, shadowy staircase? Oh yeah, and let's not forget a dark stone tunnel in a house that has a few ghost stories of its own. But we'll save that for another video. The creepy corridor aptly takes you to a place called the Halloween Room. Another area with a cool story, but it's not decorated for Christmas, so I'll give you the details on that room in another video too. One thing about Biltmore is that it was extremely advanced for their time. Biltmore was the first private home to have its own bowling alley. From the bowling alley, we pass a long hall of dressing rooms where guests could change to take a dip in the indoor swimming pool. That's right, an indoor pool. While most homes in the late 19th century didn't have indoor plumbing or electricity, the Biltmore house had both. The indoor pool held 70,000 gallons of water and had underwater lights too. And if a bowling alley and a swimming pool isn't enough, yeah, they had their own gym too, complete with all the hottest gym equipment of the day. But the gym isn't decorated for Christmas, so come on, let's move on to more Christmassy things. Now we get to explore the areas where the domestic staff lived and worked. A progressive feature of Biltmore's butler pantry was that it had 2 dumbwaiters used to deliver food from the basement kitchen to the other floors, one electric and one manual. The electric one could lift up to a capacity of 250 pounds. And just as you're thinking the tour is over, oh no, there's still more. Come on, let's go up the stairs and see the rest of the tour. The last stop of your trip is to George's smoking and gun room. That concludes our tour of the inside of the Biltmore house, but you don't want to stop there. Oh no. When you're done with the tour, it takes you right next to the cafe area. So you have a few restaurants that you can go to, you can grab some drinks, and you can even do some shopping as well. And even after your tour and the shopping, take some time to look around the grounds and be sure to check out the sunset. It is an absolutely phenomenal place to watch the sunset in North Carolina. And you know what happens when the sun goes down, the lights come up, and you want to stick around for this because the estates are beautiful, and when they turn on the lights on that gorgeous humongous tree in the middle of the courtyard, it's phenomenal. Video can't even do it justice with how ginormous this tree is, but it's gorgeous and I highly recommend sticking around to see it. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate a great big thumbs up to let me know. And be sure to subscribe so you'll also know when I post other destination videos like this one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.